Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we are diving into a pretty critical vulnerability that has the potential to really shake things up, especially in the Python world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely
We're
right.
talking about python-json-logger,
Yeah.
and a lot of developers probably use this and don't even think twice about it.
Right.
The downloads on this are huge, over 43 million downloads a month.
Wow.
So this is a big deal.
Absolutely.
And what makes this even more interesting is it was actually just presented at the Seaside 2025 Security Conference as CVE 2025-27607.
Right.
And this vulnerability could actually allow for remote code execution.
Yeah, what's really fascinating about this is how this vulnerability kind of plays out.
Yeah.
It all boils down to this missing optional dependency, a package called emsgspec python 313 pre.
Okay.
And the thing is, it's not even on the PyPI repository.
So it's just like not even there.
It's not there. So that absence creates like this really dangerous opening.
So it's almost like, you think about an empty lot on like a really busy street.
Right.
And someone can just come in and build something malicious there.
Exactly.
So how does that actually translate, though, to remote code execution?
Well, you can kind of think about this as like a supply chain attack.
Okay.
So imagine like a developer, right? They want to install python-json-logger
Right.
with all of the optional dependencies.
Yep.
But since that mspec python 313 pre isn't on the official repository,
Right.
an attacker could publish a malicious package, with the same name.
Oh, wow.
And if the developer's setup isn't really carefully configured,
Right.
their system could pull in that malicious package thinking it's totally legitimate.
Oh, gosh.
And then from there, the attacker, they could potentially execute arbitrary code on that system.
Okay, so that's concerning. What kind of implications could we see from this vulnerability?
The impact could be really significant.
Yeah.
We could be talking about data breaches, system disruptions, even complete system takeovers.
Wow.
And the severity of this is actually reflected in its CVSS score.
Right.
It's an 8.8, which puts it squarely in the high-risk category.
Yeah, and that CVSS score, just for everyone listening who maybe isn't familiar with it, that's like the Richter scale for vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
The higher the number, the more damage it can potentially cause.
Exactly.
So what can developers do to actually protect themselves against this?
Well, the good news is the fix is pretty straightforward.
Okay, good.
Developers really just need to update their python-json-logger to version 3.3.0 or later.
Okay.
That version actually closes the vulnerability and prevents that malicious package from being installed.
That sounds simple enough, just update to the latest version.
Right.
But are there any challenges that developers might face when they try to do this?
Of course, updating can sometimes break things, especially in applications that are complex.
Right.
Especially with lots of intertwined dependencies.
Right.
That's why it's so important to test before rolling out updates.
Yeah.
But in this case, the risk of not updating really outweighs the potential hassle of testing and debugging.
Yeah, absolutely. And this really highlights how important proactive security measures are.
Absolutely.
It's not enough to just react to these vulnerabilities as they come up.
Yeah,
We have to think about security throughout the entire development process.
for sure.
So what are some other best practices that developers can adopt to mitigate these kinds of risks?
Well, dependency management is key.
Yeah.
There are tools that can help developers keep track of their dependencies, identify potential vulnerabilities, and even automatically update to safer versions.
Right.
Vulnerability scanning is another really important thing.
Right.
Regularly scanning your code base and dependencies for known vulnerabilities can help you catch those issues before they become huge problems.
Yeah. It's a good reminder, too, about the software supply chain.
Right.
We implicitly trust so much code from all these third parties.
Exactly.
So are there ways developers can approach that with more caution?
Absolutely. So developers can start by just scrutinizing the packages they use. Check the reputation of that package, check the maintainer, look for red flags.
Right.
Also consider using a private package repository
Right.
where you can vet and control the packages that your team uses.
Right.
It adds a layer of security and lets you choose trusted sources.
That makes sense. So this is a lot to think about.
Yeah.
But I think, at the end of the day, this vulnerability in python-json-logger really underscores how crucial it is to stay vigilant and be proactive.
Absolutely.
Seemingly minor dependencies can have major consequences, so understanding those connections and the potential risks is essential for building secure and resilient software.
Precisely. And as our software ecosystems become more complex and interconnected,
Right.
We have to elevate our security practices to match that complexity.
I love that. Yeah, and for our listeners, I highly recommend checking out the details of this vulnerability, including the proof of concept and technical analysis, all that good stuff, in the Security Advisory and Research presented at the Seaside 2025 Security Conference. This deep dive has been a great reminder that security is a journey, not a destination.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
See you later.